Hopefully this is a big fat review of algebra 1. Bethlehem. Any luck with number 1?
I got x squared.
You got x squared plus y squared? I bet a lot of people got x squared plus y squared.
You can make it into like 3 different things. I don't understand how you do that.
Whoops.
He makes it into like 3 different things.
Angry face.
What?
Before we go further, let me just disprove why a lot of people, it's a very common trap. A lot of people want to try to distribute the exponent. You're not allowed to do that. Let me give you a real quick example of why you can't do that. Take something that you know the answer to, like 3 plus 5, and square it, right? Order of operation says you should do what first here? Do the parentheses. 3 plus 5 we all know is 8. 8 squared is 64. We know this is supposed to equal 64. However, if you try to distribute that exponent, you'd end up with 3 squared plus 5 squared. 9 plus 25 does not equal 64. So this is not legit. So, maybe we can get some help. Hey, you're just helping us see what not to do, right, Beth? I know. I appreciate that. Sterling, do you have what may be a better solution to how to simplify that? Either you got it already.
Oh, already? No.
Let's go to Christian. Oh. Nope. Christian, do me a favor. That seat goes back. And you sit in the desk. Thank you. Ejaz, any luck?
Can I just give an answer?
Let's go one more, and then we'll go on. No dice. All right. Who thinks they actually know what it is? What do you think, Janelle?
X squared
X squared plus y squared, and then what? Guess about that. That is correct. Now, a lot of you guys are like, so, Janelle, could you please explain, how did you come up with this? Stop right there. Doesn't that make sense? When you're squaring something, you're just multiplying it by itself twice, right? So instead of just trying to get lazy and distribute the 2 inside, you really should just rewrite it twice. Alright, so now what? What acronym do we use there, such that acronyms like OIL? OIL, right? First, x times x is? X squared, not 2x, right? Of course not. Outsides. What's outside, Jeanette? X times y is just y. Insides. X times y. Less. Y times y is y squared. Okay, Jeanette, that's not what you got. Aha! I got an xy over here, I got an xy over there, so together that makes 2xy. Now I like to write it in the middle just because I think it's prettier, a little more symmetrical. But what you had is the exact same thing as what we ended up with. What property says that these two are equivalent? It's a commutative property, right? All we did was switch the y squared and 2xy. So the commutative property says that's alright. So, for the story, don't get lazy and try to distribute the square. It doesn't work. Now, it does work if you're multiplying. Then that's okay.
Why do you have a 1? Why do you have a 1 inside the...
That was just a smart board glitch.
Oh, it's built in parentheses?
How is that?
What?
What?
Oh,
because you added up the other one. Why is that okay when you distribute it?
Aha. So first off, you guys see the difference between this and that?
Yeah.
Addition, multiplication, right? So just give yourself an example. How about 3 times 5? Actually, that's going to be a little bigger than I want it to be. Let's do 3 times 2. You know that 3 times 2 is 6 squared is 36. So let's see if when I drop that 2 inside on the 3 and on the 2, let's see if I get 36. 3 squared times 2 squared. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 2 squared? 4. That's 9 times 4. 36. Right? So if you're ever not sure, you can test it. Right? You can test it by doing that.
So,
Now sorry, go ahead.
the answer we can just write x y squared.
You could write x squared, y squared. Here you're allowed to bring it in. If you're doing addition, you're not allowed to distribute that exponent. Right? Now, the other way you can think about it is if you see x times y and you're squaring it, remember what that square means. It means you're just writing it twice. I don't know why that keeps showing up. Right? So now I have x times y times x times y. It's all multiplication, right? So it really doesn't matter what order I do it in. I can drop the parentheses and put these x's together, put those y's together, and how's another way I can write x times x? X squared, y squared. So it ends up, the shortcut is just distribute the exponent. Right? Exponent rules are a little funky, take practice. But for right now, you're not going to have to do a whole lot of this, but I do need you to be careful about when you have x plus y and stuff. Alright, so, on to the next one. Any luck? Jocelyn?
Nope.
Nope. Rachel?
X minus y inside parentheses and then x squared x y
Christina! I'm sorry, that's Kristen A.
No.
No dice? It's a tricky one. Fatima. Jeanette. Diego? No dice. Anybody? Save the day here. What do you think, Madison?
There's a lot of numbers and letters.
X cubed minus y squared is oh so close.
Oh, that's all good. I got y.
Probably added the x to
Cubed. The right answer. I'm so sorry. I just realized something. Somehow this little 2 got erased.
Oops.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's supposed to be a little 2 here.
Oh, thanks.
So some of you guys actually might have been right. I'm sorry. I just now realized that. All right. Anyway, let's work it out together. Sorry about that. You probably were right. Everybody. I think that's good. All right. Look, there's 2 ways you can do this problem, right? First off, you guys realize that FOIL won't work here, right?
Yeah.
You guys know the technical name when you have an expression that's got 2 terms? We have a binomial times a trinomial, right? FOIL only works if you have a binomial times another binomial. Okay, that's the only way the acronym works. So you can't use FOIL when you have a binomial times a trinomial. Instead, you can still distribute, but you just have to be organized about it. Here's 2 ways you can do it. One way, distribute the x to everybody. Right? So x times x squared, x cubed. X times xy, x squared y, right? We have 2 x's and 1 y. X times y squared,
Y squared.
y squared, no big deal. Now you go and you got to do the negative y. We okay?
When did you get x squared y?
Right here. When I do x times xy,
Oh. Okay.
I times x squared,
Negative x squared y.
negative x squared y. You guys okay if I just write all the x's up front?
Yeah.
So I could always, I mean, y times x is 6x times y, but I'm going to put the x's up front so that they stay organized. So negative times a positive is negative, y times x squared is x squared times y. Negative times a positive is a negative, y times x times y is xy squared. Negative times negative is negative times a positive is negative.
Oh, I actually have that. I just
Cube,
So when
right? Hold on a second. We got a lot of questions going on at once. First off, we're not done. Second of all, what was your question, Becca?
Why wouldn't you like times 2 but other 2?
Why wouldn't I times?
Like the other 2 is inside, right?
This one? You
The
got what?
one inside.
Yeah, then x squared is the y.
It's kind of off in the distance, but it's really just supposed to be the one. Alright?
Wait, so how do you simplify that?
Aha!
You stack it.
You gotta combine the terms. Now,
Obviously.
the way I wrote it this time, it actually kind of lends itself to combining my terms. You see how over here I got x cubed. I don't see any other x cubes anywhere, so I can't combine them with anybody. I do, however, see another x squared y right there. I have a positive x squared y, I got a negative x squared y, so they cancel out. I got a positive xy squared and a negative xy squared, so those cancel out. Negative y cubed doesn't cancel with anybody, so that was what I was hoping was going to be the final answer, but I screwed up. Sorry. Alright?
I had a lot more letters.
Instead of priority impact. So, hopefully, yes.
There are X's and Y's, but there's
We're going to go over the homework first. But, now the other way you could have done it, now this is completely up to you. This is what some teachers call the box method. It's especially helpful when you have like longer polynomials, a trinomial times a trinomial, binomial times a trinomial. Set it up like this. In this corner we had x minus y, right? And then the trinomial was x squared plus xy plus y squared. So it's x minus y times x squared plus xy times plus. Hey, teachers don't. Some people like it, some people don't. But then you just gotta fill in the boxes, right? X times x squared is x cubed. This is gonna give you x squared y. Here's xy squared. Here is negative x squared y. You do negative y times x squared. Yada yada yada. Just have to stay organized. Then you see, oh, there's some like terms. X squared y, xy squared, xy squared, those cancel out. And you're left with the x cubed minus y cubed. So that might help you out. Alright, let's talk about the homework. I realized yesterday that one of my links was malfunctioning. So it looked like, at least when I was going on it, it looked like you couldn't see the homework key. I fixed it yesterday, but if you went on 2 days ago, then it wasn't up there. So let me show you the answers now. I didn't make a video for this one because I was hoping it'd be a big fat review of Algebra 1. But I am recording this now, so if I'm still going too fast and you want to go back and look at something that we talked about, then these explanations, that warm-up and going over the homework will be on the School Future class website. Alright, so, that's a little too late. Check to see how you did. I'm going to pause the video for now, because this is kind of boring. Alright, here we go. I'm going to put 13 minutes on the clock, and that's I'm going to ask as many questions about the homework as possible. And then it's Pasito time. Jocelyn, get started. What's up?
I don't understand.
Tell me your problem number and I'll tell you how to do it.
I don't know. I think it's 12 or 14. Next question.
What is number 12?
It's 14. It's like 2 minus 4.
And again?
parentheses, u minus 4, parentheses, minus, parentheses, 6 plus 3 u squared minus 4 u parentheses. There's a minus 6.
That u minus 4 minus blah, blah,
Like,
blah.
I don't know what the minus is amount of
Alright, here's the first thing you gotta realize. Danger, Will Robinson, don't make this problem harder than it is. We are subtracting two polynomials here, right? I have a binomial minus a trinomial, which means all that FOIL stuff, all that box stuff, doesn't apply here. Instead, all you're doing is combining like terms. Now, the minus does make it a little more challenging. So what I always do, and it's just, some of you guys can do it without this step, but it makes it easier for me, is I'm going to rewrite this, and instead of minus, I'm going to change it to plus. Now, I'm not allowed to just do that unless I alter something else. Really what I'm doing is I'm distributing that negative, right? So this is going to turn into negative 6, negative 3u squared, positive 4u. Once you're adding, I think the problem gets a lot easier. What's up, BCAS? Because the box is only when you're multiplying. Here I'm just subtracting. Okay? So all we're really doing is combining like terms here. So u is going to combine with 4u. Since it's plus, now it's easy. U plus 4u is 5u's. Negative 4 is going to combine with a negative 6. Since I'm adding, that's negative 10. So I can either write plus negative 10 or minus 10. Good question, Karina? Sure. Okay. Now, that's it over here. So the negative 3u squared doesn't have anybody to combine with. So he just comes down as negative 3u squared. Now, technically, you usually want to write these in order from highest exponents down to the lowest. So I'm going to rewrite this using my commutative property.
Can you take words off and not doing that?
You just have to know that if it's like multiple choice, you're probably not going to see this as an answer. You're going to see this as an answer. Yeah, we're going to get to, I mean, I'm not as finicky about that. I'm not as particular about that. But like I said, on the SOL, you're going to see it in standard form, like you're saying. Now, you're also probably not going to see plus and negative. You're probably going to see that as just minus. Okay, so it means the same thing. Otras preguntas. What's up, Daniel? 20. What does 20 say?
Fraction. We got negative 3/5 ABU D squared parentheses negative 5 AB squared D to the 5th power minus 5 AB
They forgot to C.
Did I write it down right?
Skip from B to B.
Oh, no, you're supposed to say.
I'm saying the problem thing. Thomas is just being. Alright, so,
I didn't mean it for once.
okay. I mean, it looks gross, but it's really not that bad. Okay? Am I going to FOIL this problem?
Yes,
Distribute the whole.
Yes.
No FOIL this time. FOIL is when you have a binomial times a binomial. Here, what do you call it when there's just one term? A monomial, right? Here I have a monomial. I got a monomial times a binomial. So all I need to do is old school distribution. That's it. That's it. Aha. So now, let's just ignore. Let me see if I can find magic box.
You can't find it.
Oh, it's the square.
Make it purple.
It sounds like you're trying to speak Spanish.
Alright. Let's just ignore. Let's just ignore the right side for now, and let's multiply these together. It's all multiplication. So this parentheses isn't really doing anything. Just multiply the pieces that you can multiply. So negative 3/5 would multiply with the negative 5. Right? I mean, I had to change the order and put it next to each other, but you guys can just picture that. So fractions, oh my gosh. Negative 3/5 times negative 5. Multiplying fractions is easy. So I see a 5 in the top and a 5 in the bottom. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I don't need to write the 1, so I'm left with negative 3 times the negative, which ends up being positive 3. You can't tell me it's really that hard.
You know, there's the number and then the line.
You're going to have fractions in every test, I promise.
It's another
Quiz based.
It's just a
But now I got a times a, which is
Squared.
squared. I got b cubed times b squared is
B power 5.
b to the 5th. Remember, when you're multiplying the bases,
Yeah.
you add the exponents. If you can't remember that, give yourself a real quick little thought bubble. B cubed times b squared is like b times b, right? Well, then how many b's you got? 5. That's why it's b to the 5th. So if you can't remember when you multiply and when you add, just write it out real quick. Give yourself a real quick example. Not to be confused with this, if I said b cubed squared, that would end up being b to the 6. Right? When you have a power raised to another power, then you multiply. Okay, those are monomial rules from Algebra 1. Okay, so practice. You gotta work with it now. That was the b's. I still got d. D squared times b to the 5th is d to the 7th. And we're halfway there. Now let's get rid of all this stuff. Now I'm ignoring. Oh no. Whoops. What did I just So it ended up being 3a b x squared b to the 5th, b to the 7th, and then alright, so then over here same thing, but now I'm ignoring the middle guy. Alright, so negative 3/5 times negative 5, negative times negative makes a positive. The 5 at the top cancels out the 5 at the bottom. So then I'm left with just the 3. A times A, we already said was a squared. B cubed, and one more B make B to the 4th. D squared doesn't have anyone to multiply by, so he comes along to the right.
It's not that easy.
It is.
Actually, that was
Really
pretty
is actually.
Other questions? What are the other questions about this one? Other question about the homework. Number 2.
Somebody say 18. Give me all those numbers.
24
All right, division. Oh goodness, here we go. So we gotta think about this one real quick. All right. Nice thing about this problem is we have a binomial divided by a monomial. When you are dividing by a monomial, it's actually very easy. I like to think about it like you're distributing the division. It only works for monomials. You can't do this for binomials because the plus sign is going to make things a little more complicated with the minus sign. But as long as you have one group, just split it up into 24m n to the 6th all over 4m squared and cubed, and then 40m squared n cubed over 4m squared n cubed. It's like you're distributing the division, right? If I were like multiplying by 4 out here, then I could distribute both groups. Well, I'm dividing by blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to distribute the division. So now, let's get to simplify. 24 over 4, we all know is 6. Now, I have one m in the top, and I have two m's in the bottom. Just isolate that piece for just a second. M squared is like m times m. So m divided by m cancels out to 1, and I'm left with an m in the bottom. So that means I need m down here in the bottom. Did I lose you? M over m squared ends up being m, but it has to be in the denominator. When you have one m in the top, it gets outpowered by the two m's in the bottom. So when you simplify it, the m needs to stay in the bottom. That's what it means. Exactly. If it was m cubed down here, then you would have two m's left over in the bottom. So it would be n squared. Now, n to the 6th over n cubed, I get 6 n's in the top, 3 in the bottom. That leaves me with 3 in the top. The shortcut, remember if you are dividing the bases, what do you do with the exponents? Subtract. So 6 minus 3 is your 3. Over here, if I did the invisible 1, invisible 1 minus the 2, I would get negative 1. But you remember if you have a negative exponent, then you got to take this negative exponent, move it to the bottom as a positive exponent. So either way. That kind of sound familiar? If not, come by and catch me Tuesday. I'll break it down for you after school. It's not hard. Alright, so then that's the first group. Second group, 40 over 4, 10. M squared over m squared. Anybody divided by himself is 1, right? The identity, good, I like the vocabulary. And n cubed divided by n cubed is still 1, so I don't need to write the 1, because 10 times 1 is still 10. That's the identity property. And so we're done. Tell you, man, this whole sheet isn't as bad as you think it is. I got time for one more. What's up, Miss Mary?
Can you give an example where the bottom is binomial?
That's going to be, it's supposed to be your lesson today, but last class didn't get to it, so you guys probably didn't get to it either, so we'll do it on now. Other questions about the homework?
How many questions are the quiz? Well, you said
I think it's 3.
Oh, okay.
Either 3 or 2. Actually, never mind, it's 5. Hold on, I can't hear Miss Mary. Shh. What's up?
You do negative m, negative 10, and then does it change your answer?
So if I add in another mn over here,
Yeah.
oh, that's not the same thing. No. 1 is not the same as m. M squared over m squared equals 1, not 1m. Just 1. Alright, here we go. Take out a sheet of paper, fold it in half like a hamburger, and go out of the crazy!